8:45, finished. 8:45. Okay, I'm supposed to speak 10 minutes about Gauridas Pandit and about Rupa Goswami, 10 minutes about Balaram, and then 6 minutes about the morning class. But I'll do my best. No, I honor schedules. Well, we already heard something about Rupa Goswami, and there's so much to say about Rupa Goswami. So I'll say a little bit more about Rupa Goswami and then a little bit more about Gauridas Pandit. We heard this morning about the early life of Rupa and Sanatan and Anupam, and their elevated nature even before they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, the main topic that we hear about Rupa Goswami is amongst all the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami is the foremost. Of course, Rupa Goswami, being the other younger brother of Sanatana Goswami, always looked up to his elder brother. And his elder brother, being the elder brother, observed the etiquette of being the elder brother. But he, Rupa Goswami, was respected by his elder brother. Anyway, like for example, Sanatana Goswami wrote one book, commentary on the Bhagavatam, called Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So when Rupa Goswami wrote, it was Laghu Bhagavatamrita, big and light. He was happy because he was such an elevated Vaishnava. He was happy to take the subordinate position to Sanatana Goswami. And it's really easy to think of so many nice things to say about Rupa Goswami. I'll say one thing that has a connection between Sanatana and Rupa Goswami. This is in the book written by Narahari Chakravarti, that an event took place in Rupa Goswami's life where he was so absorbed in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that he was able to experience the aprakat lila, or unmanifest pastimes of Krishna, within his heart. That's the platform of Rupa Goswami. And in one particular day, a pastime between Radha and Krishna was being observed by him within his heart, Krishna and the gopis, and something was said and something was done, and it was very humorous. And in his form of Sri Rupa Manjari, he was an observer and participant, and it was so funny, he, spiritually speaking, began to laugh, and because of that, his body also was laughing outside because it was going on inside. And as he was laughing or smiling and chuckling, one very elder Brahmin who was crippled and couldn't walk properly was passing by, and the elder Brahmin thought, Rupa Goswami is laughing at me because I can't walk properly. And his mind became disturbed. So he went to Sanatana Goswami to report to Sanatana Goswami, how is it that your brother, such an elevated Vaishnava, is laughing at an old Brahmin because he can't walk properly? Sanatana Goswami said, I'll look into it and I'll get back to you. Some time passed. Rupa Goswami then came to Sanatana Goswami and said, something very amazing happened today. I was experiencing this pastime within my heart, and suddenly my meditation broke. Just at a moment when there was very humorous pastime, and I tried again and again to become again absorbed in that meditation, and nothing happened. So Sanatana Goswami did some quick math, 2 + 2. And he said, here's what happened. as you were experiencing that joy of the pastime, it appears that a Brahmana was passing by, an infirm, crippled Brahmana, and you apparently were laughing outside as well as inside. The Brahmana thought you were laughing at him, and so he felt offended. Because he felt offended, your meditation broke, although you didn't offend. So my recommendation is you go to that Brahmana, here's his name, here's where he stays, and explain to him what happened. So immediately Rupa Goswami followed what his elder brother said. He went to the Brahmin and told him what had happened. And the elder Brahmin said, "Oh no, you weren't the offender, I'm the offender." And Rupa Goswami said, no, yeah, I understand how you felt. And they embraced and everything was nice. That's the platform of Rupa Goswami, and etc., etc., etc. How was Rupa Goswami able to realize pastimes that we don't find in Srimad Bhagavatam and other texts? Because he was able to experience them. Not all of the Krishna's pastimes are in the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Rupa Goswami revealed more, and other acharyas, but Rupa Goswami is such an exalted personality, so we offer our respects to him. And Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit was one of the intimate associates of both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. Especially noted was Gauridas Pandit's total dedication to Lord Nityananda. He was such an ardent, faithful follower and lover of Lord Nityananda. And he grew up in one place, and with permission from Lord Nityananda, he shifted to another place, Ambika Kalna, which is along the bank of the Ganges. And he was the son of a very esteemed Brahmana, Makaradwaj, as my memory serves me right. And there were 7 brothers. He was the middle brother, 3 above and 3 below. And his brother just above him, older than him, was Surya Das. They all had something Das. So Surya Das had 2 daughters, Janava and Vasudha. And Surya Das, there's a nice narration, but time doesn't permit. Lord Nityananda approached Surya Das, said, "I'd like to marry your daughter, but you're an avaduta. I can maintain my daughters." And Lord Nityananda wasn't very happy. So he said, okay. Anyway, Gauridas's elder brother was the father of the 2 wives of Lord Nityananda. A few other nice details about Gauridas Pandit. One of them was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time, this is in the biography, Gaura Gonadesh Dipika, where Gauridas Pandit was one of the principal cowherd boys of Krishna, Subal, in Krishna Lila. So Lord Chaitanya, having affection for Subal, as for Gauridas, in that mood, went by boat to visit Ambika Kalna. And when he went by boat to Ambika Kalna, he gave 2 gifts to Gauridas. One was the oar, and he indicated to Gauridas, use this oar to carry people on the other side of the ocean of material existence, metaphorically, but the oar is still available, few rupees, and you can see the oar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ambika Kalna. And Lord Chaitanya gave him a hand-written Bhagavad Gita copy, the verses, and that's also available for a few rupees. You can have darshan of that nice Bhagavad Gita. And Another description is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had decided to take sannyas, he, according to the biographies, he informed just a handful, that means 5 persons, and Gauridas was one of the ones that he informed about his plan to take sannyas. He went right with Lord Nityananda. First he went with Lord Nityananda to Ambika Kalna, and Gauridas said, "No, you can't do this." Subal, you can't do this. How? Because I won't be able to maintain my life. Very well, then I will provide you with deities of myself and Lord Nityananda, because you're so attached to Lord Nityananda. And when you see the deities, you'll see me. So the deities were made, placed on the altar, and Lord Chaitanya said, time to go. Gauridas said, wait a minute. If the deity is not different than you, then you stay and let the deities go. Lord Chaitanya smiled. The deities got off the altar and started walking towards the gate. And Gauridas held his head and said, no, it's okay. The deities can stay and you can go. And just back and forth a few times. And then he understood they're non-different. It is said that that deity doesn't leave prasad. He eats all the offerings. I've never have an experience of that. That's said about this deity. Nice story. And the deities are still there, very tall deities, very beautiful deities. And two more things. One of his disciples, Gauridas Pandit's disciples, he named after Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Das. Long story short, because of time, and we want to speak something from the Bhagavatam, but Gauridas is a nice person to speak about. He was out of town. His disciple, Chaitanya Das, decided to have a Gaur Purnima festival following the departure of Lord Chaitanya, but the Gaur Purnima festival. So he arranged a big festival and invited everyone. So it was already done, and as Gauridas Pandit came back and said, what have you done? It's too late, you've already invited people. And so the place is outside. You visit Ambika Kalna, you go out the gate, there's big walls and a gate. You turn left, and down there's a big courtyard with a humongous tree with nice shade, and that's where the deity, where the festival is being held, the deities are on the altar. And kirtan and kirtan and kirtan, and the deities wanted to participate in the kirtan, so they got off the altar and headed out the gate. Gauridas picked up a stick and chased them. Stop, get back on the altar, it's time for your bhog offering. And they looked over their shoulder and ran, and they entered into the heart of Chaitanya Das. So he couldn't do anything. And from that time, Chaitanya Das became Hridaya Chaitanya. And Hridaya Chaitanya later became the spiritual master of Srinivasacharya. No, Shamananda. There's a long Shamananda story, but very elevated personality in our Gaudiya line. We don't hear so much, we hear much more about Rupa Goswami. And I'm supposed to say something about Balaram. And the hands of the clock just keep moving, so I don't know what to do. But specifically, what I was asked to speak something about for 10 minutes, how Lord Balaram gives his mercy to others in the form of his chastisement or his show of anger. So there's 2 pastimes we're going to hear more during the classes about Lord Balaram, but one of those is his dragging Hastinapur with his plow to drag Hastinapur into the Ganges and drown the capital city, Hastinapur, which is a big deal because Who was in charge of Hastinapur? Duryodhana. And Duryodhana is, so much favored. We're going to hear some more about why Duryodhana was so much favored by Balaram. We've been talking about it in these classes. So I found a very, very nice explanation. I'll share with all of you during one of those classes, but not now. So Duryodhana had a daughter. Her daughter's name was Lakshmana. Duryodhana's daughter was named Lakshmana. And her Swayamvar ceremony was scheduled to be performed, doesn't say how, but it was known by one of Krishna's sons, named Samba, that she didn't want to marry him, he wanted to marry her, so on her Swayamvar ceremony, he came on his chariot and scooped her up and put her on her chariot, and zoom, off he went with Lakshmana. Duryodhana was furious. We've been insulted. Get our armies and go and attack this fellow. And it was the advice was given, grandfather Bhishma, if you capture him, you can't kill him. You can imprison him. Long story. It's a nice story. But this is, let's go to the Balaram using his anger. So the 7 generals, 6 or 7 generals, surrounded him. They caught up with him, and this and that, and they tied him up and put him in jail. Karna and others ganged up on one. Samba was very, very good. We were speaking, Samba was one of the persons trained by Balaram in club fighting. It's important in this pastime. Balaram using his plow to drag Hastinapur. So as Balaram had affection for Bhima and for Duryodhana, he had affection for Samba. He trained him in club fighting, and he liked his students, etc., etc. And Samba was powerful, very powerful, without the details, very powerful. But he was captured, put in prison. Ugrasena, Narada Muni carried the message. Guess what? You looking for Samba? He's in a prison in Hastinapur. Ugrasena immediately called for the entire Yadu army, so many Akshohini divisions of soldiers, to put on your armor, go march. This is before Kurukshetra battle, and have a battle with the Kauravas. Not the Pandavas against the Kauravas, the Yadus against the Kauravas. Balaram, the peacemaker, said, no, let me make peace, I'll go. And Ugrasena agreed. So with ministers and not armies, just some associates, he literally carried a message for Hastinapur residents, particularly Duryodhana. And when he came outside the city of Hastinapur, he camped out, sent a messenger in. I've come, I'd like to speak. They sent an envoy, they honored him, they worshipped him, they, did all the cultural things. And then Balaram spoke and said, here's the message, please return Samba. Thank you very much. And Duryodhana was furious. Who's this Ugrasena? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I won't repeat. It was very offensive what he said. Made Balaram angry. It's not the material anger, it's a Kshatriya's anger. So there's lots of discussion of what Balaram's thoughts were. Who are these people? Etc., etc., etc. So he decided he'd teach them a lesson. I'll destroy your city. So with his club got really, according to commentaries, his club got really big, his plow, and he started dragging with his plow. This showed anger. That's the topic I was asked to speak about. He showed his anger, and it worked. Their pride was curbed. And the whole city was shaking, and commentary says, even to this day, that the western side of Hastinapur is higher indicating the pulling of that entire city towards the Ganges, to submerge an entire city in the Ganges. Must be the Ganges was very wide at that place. And they came and apologized. And so the wedding was held right in Hastinapur. So the purpose, Krishna did similar things, using anger and other methods to curb the pride of persons that were prideful. And because of pride, misusing the prowess that they had been given, because where does prowess come from, or strength come from? It comes from the personality of Godhead. Don't misuse strength, please, because Balaram may get you, etc. There's other nice examples. When is anger appropriate? If you're the personality of Godhead, it's any time you feel it's appropriate, but it's to assist somebody to come away from the darkness of ignorance and towards the light of devotion to the personality of Godhead. That was Balaram's anger being exhibited to show his compassion upon the recipient of his anger. And now we're ready for the Bhagavatam verse. And it's 12 minutes before the bell rings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Canto 3, Chapter 10, texts 8 and 9. And I'm not going to do it responsibly because of time. So I'll just say the verse, you respond, read the translation. Padma kosham tadavishya bhagavat karma choditaha ekam vyabhangshid urudha tridha bhavyam dve sampata. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the world of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of worlds, and later into 14 divisions. Text 9. Etavan jiva lokasya Sangstha Bedha Samahritaha Dharmasya Animitasya Vipaka Parameshthyasao. Translation: Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotional service unto the Lord. In mature transcendental knowledge, he therefore created all the 14 planetary systems for inhabitation by the different types of living entities. Purport. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all the qualities of the living entities. Listen carefully, this is an interesting purport. The conditioned souls in the material world reflect only part of those qualities, and therefore they are sometimes called pratibimbas. These pratibimba living entities, as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, have inherited different proportions of his original qualities, and in terms of their inheritance of these qualities, they appear in different species of life and are accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. Brahma is the creator of the 3 worlds, namely lower planets called Patala Lokas, the middle planets called Bhur Lokas, and the upper planets called Swarga Lokas. Still higher planets such as Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka do not dissolve in the devastating water. This is because of the causeless devotional service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitants, whose existence continues up to the end of Dviparadha time, when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. We have 7 minutes with questions at the end. Huh? Oh, come on. I got a gun to my head. So, several things. The section is one of 2 sections in Canto 3 describing Sarga and Visarga. The Sarga section, this is Maitreya speaking to Vidura. Later it's Kapila speaking to Devahuti, that speaks of a different, many things are the same, many things are different, but it's Sarga and then Visarga. So this is the Visarga, is just beginning. That's what Visarga is, what Brahma does. So Brahma's created, and he's now to do the filling in the details of creation. And so it mentions that the 3 and the 14, the 3 was identified in this purport, lower, middle, and upper indicating Swarga, and then there's above the upper, Bhuvar Swar, in our Brahma Gayatri mantra, Bhuvar Swar. So the lower, those are different 3, but the lower, there's 7 lower planetary systems. Prabhupada makes it very simple. It just says Patalalokas plural. And they have different names to make 7. Patalalokas at the bottom, 7 lower, that's the lower. Then Bhur Loka, the earthly realm. Then above the earthly realm, doesn't mention Bhuvar Loka, but Swarga Loka. So that's the 3. Lower, middle, and upper, 3. And then there's 14, so 7 lower, 7 upper. So further divisions of the 3. A term, I wanted to be sure, so I examined what the term means. Dviparadha means the 2 halves of Brahma's life. And at the end of Brahma's life, there's the inundation. At the end of each Manu, there's a partial devastation. And at the end of the life of Brahma, there's a total devastation. During the partial devastation, from Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka, they're not inundated by that devastation, or the water from the Garbhodak ocean rises. Or at the end of each day of Brahma is also described. At the end of the day of Brahma, there's a partial devastation. So those upper regions aren't inundated. The explanation given in this purport is because of interesting language, because of their causeless devotional service rendered unto the Lord. Now, they're not in the heavenly. They're not in the heavenly realm. They're not in the spiritual realm. They're somewhere in between the 2, with different divisions of the in-betweenness up to Brahmaloka. But at least in Prabhupada's purport here, they're causeless devotional service. So they're devotees above Swarga. Even Swarga, they're devotees, but above Swarga, they're causeless devotees, but not yet apparently eligible for Vaikuntha. Doesn't explain what's the detail, but they're in those positions because there's something, some tinge of something, because otherwise they'd be in Vaikuntha. And at the end of the life of Brahma, generally, they're liberated from the chain of birth and death. So what do they do in those upper planets? You read in Brihat Bhagavatamrita and you find out what they do. They're very happily engaged. One place they're engaged in yajna, and seeing the personality of Godhead, receiving the offerings from their hands as they offer oblations into the fire. The Supreme Lord appears extending his hands and receives their offerings. Not just the Devas, but the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And in Tapaloka, they see the Supreme Lord in their meditation, and so forth. So they're very elevated persons. They're great devotees, preparing themselves for Vaikuntha. And another term I spent some time examining, because I'm somewhat familiar with Bimba and Pratibimba. So the Bimba, Pratibimba, is the Bimba term for Vaishnavas is the personality of God who has all perfect qualities in fullness, not just good qualities, but like the Devas have good qualities. He has all qualities. He has all opulences, but he also has all qualities. And each jiva is invested with some portion, a reflected portion of the qualities in the personality of God, or the source of everything. And therefore, the Vaishnava rendering of these terms, Bimba Pratibimba, is Brahma took some of the qualities from the personality of God and reflected, I'm emphasizing the reflected part, you'll see why in a moment. It's right in the purport, but it's not the qualities of Krishna, it's reflected qualities of Krishna, like an object and reflection of the object in a lake or a mirror or something. It's not the qualities of Krishna, even in part, it's a reflection of the qualities of Krishna in part. That's pratibimba, living entities, jivas, may be endowed. And according to this purport, Brahma knows what's ought with each of them, and they're placed in forms of life. Now, he doesn't do that personally, but he arranges for it to be done, because after part of the Visarga function is he has Prajapatis fill up the universe with living entities. And living entities are invested with pratibimba, or a reflected portion of the qualities of Krishna. But just to share something with you, because as I was researching, aside from what the Bhagavatam says, I wanted to hear what Wikipedia and the internet says. You're not going to like this, but I'll say it anyways. The common thing that's on the internet is the Supreme Lord has reflections that are only reflections, and that's the living entity. The living entities are reflections, and the real substance is Brahman. Brahman is Bimba, and living entities just, there's no such thing. There's reflections, as if they exist, but they don't exist. Now, it's a puzzle. Besides, well, why is this what's on the internet? Because the answer is very popular. Impersonal scholars put stuff on the internet, and the internet displays what the impersonal scholars have to say. And of course, there's different versions of impersonalisms. But, the living entity doesn't exist. There's no such thing. What's the living entity? It doesn't exist. And that's not just Buddhism, that's impersonalism, because what does exist is Brahman. So that's the Bimba. And the appearance as if there's living entities, that's Pratibimba. Shoo-wee. So let's go back to the Bhagavatam in Prabhupada's purport. Pratibimba, we're hearing very clearly, very succinctly, it's the living entities that carry a reflected portion of the unlimited qualities of Bhagavan. And one of the functions of Brahma in the Visarga activities is to build the universe from the ingredients supplied to him, with the plan supplied to him, and the plan supplied to him. The detail isn't here in this particular section, But he meditates on the universal form. The universal form appears in his mind. He meditates on the universal form. That's like the blueprint. And then he builds the universe according to the blueprint. He's a good engineer. Original. And Krishna is the teacher of that engineer. He gives him the blueprint. And he builds the universe according to the blueprint with the ingredients, and then populates the universe with living entities that are pratibimbas. They embody in different species. Some species have this, some species have that. One of the ones that Prabhupada would like to speak about is vultures. They have a really good eyesight. From miles up in the air, they can spot a dead carcass and zoom and gobble the dead carcass. So they have eyesight that humans don't have. So they get that particular body for different reasons. So one can think of those as vibhutis, or opulences, or as the statement is being made here, qualities. Similar, not identical. So this section, and it's now 12 minutes to the hour, this section is Visarga. It's what Brahma does to provide that which Lord Vishnu wants. And he's good. He's given all the Shakti to do it. He's given the intelligence how to do it. He's given your mark it, set, go, do it. And he does it. Flawlessly, according to the Lord's plan. And that's the section, and it's Maitreya describing this to Vidura. And I'll say it one more time. There's similarities and there's differences between this description in the third canto and the later description in the third canto. So don't be surprised when you go on and you find differences, because there's differences. The reason there's differences, there's several reasons. One of the reasons why, according to the acharyas that comment on the third canto, one description is what's the purpose, and one description is the purpose is suffering. Living entities want to become enjoyers, and to teach them there's no enjoyment is the suffering part. The living entities get what they want and they suffer. And then the second description is living entities are given an opportunity for achieving perfection through the purpose of creation. Okay, it's 9 minutes to the hour. I'm going to end and see if there's some discussion. Vedavati, you want to add something?
Krishna Maharaj. Congratulations on covering all the topics. That was amazing. My question is about...
I'm a soldier. Just like some orders.
My question is about the first topic, the anecdote with Srila Rupa Goswami having his meditation broken.
Yes.
It always amazes me that although he actually didn't do anything or even think anything offensive,
Right.
because that other sadhu was offended.
He felt offended. He felt offended.
Felt offended. So that
His meditation.
made it impossible for Srila Rupa
And that's
Goswami
Rupa Goswami, what to speak of you and me.
That's what I'm asking, especially nowadays. But how do we protect ourselves from the tendency to
Have Sanatana Goswami type people as your friends. And then be submissive to Sanatana Goswami type people. And supposing you don't know, Prabhupada was asked that question. Therefore, Prabhupada's answer, therefore we pray every day sincerely, Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha pititanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. And it's not just a doormat, make your dirty feet and wipe your dirty feet on that mantra. It's a prayer. It's from the heart. It should be, ideally, a prayer to all the Vaishnavas unknowingly I may have made some offense. Please forgive me for that offense. And we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I don't know anybody that doesn't make mistakes. And the intention, even if the intention is not offense, there may be perceived offense. It may be a mistake that was definitely wrong and just misguided something. Thank you for asking the question. Ragamika.
About the reflections, the qualities, the reflections of qualities.
Yes.
In the opulence of the Absolute, the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says, like a phatic sign sharp, are these reflections of qualities? Where he says that's him.
I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking, are the vibhutis of Vibhuti Yoga, are they Krishna's qualities, or are they reflections of Krishna's qualities? Is that your question?
Well, it just threw me off that word vibhuti. It means opulence, correct?
That's Vibhuti.
Oh, of course, and that's the
Opulence of the Absolute in Sanskrit is Vibhuti Yoga.
Okay.
So Vibhuti, opulence, interchangeable.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Are they the reflections or Krishna?
According to what we write here, you can see either way, but the reflection of an object is from the object. And this verse is telling us it's pratibimba, it's a reflection of then the chapter, Vibhuti Yoga chapter. It's a way to meditate upon Krishna, but if you say, put your question a different way. By meditating the light on the sun and the moon, is that meditation on Krishna? Well, it can be, if you understand the light of the sun and the moon are reflections of Krishna. But you don't think it's Krishna, that's something else. So they're reflections of the this, I'm the that, of the pure fires, I'm the wind. It's reflections. It's not Krishna. There isn't wind without Krishna. There isn't purification without Krishna, but it's reflection of the fullness of Krishna.
I think in the last verse, or maybe the previous verse, we were hearing that how all the living entities are in the seed form in the lotus
Yes.
stem. So I was just wondering that when Brahma is doing his creation, his visarga, what is he actually creating? All these living entities are there. So when he does his creation, is he giving the bodies
Yes.
according to their...
Well, the planets and the whole structure. He's taking the subtle and making it physical. That's what Visarga is. Sarga is what Vishnu does. And Brahma takes the subtle and makes it gross. He's given the ingredients. The ingredients are gross, but before the ingredients are gross, they're subtle. And then they become gross. And then he puts he's the engineer.
So in that format, when the living entities are in the stem, so they have their subtle bodies.
Yes.
And then he gives them the gross bodies.
Yes. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. The living entity, when the living entity leaves the gross body, the subtle body goes with the living entity. So now, what happens to that subtle body during the night of Brahma, when all the living entities are drawn within the body of Vishnu? Do the subtle bodies dissolve? Apparently not. And then the living entities are cast. It doesn't say, and their subtle bodies, but apparently, I'm not certain of this. Maybe a learned scholar in the room can correct my misunderstanding if it's a misunderstanding. But they're not dissolved, the subtle bodies, when the samasti, the living entity, total living entities are within the body of Vishnu during the night of Brahma. And then they're manifest with the glance of Vishnu. That's it, that's the original creation, and then there's each day of Brahma. So in each day, the living entities have subtle bodies, even before they get their gross body. That's my understanding.
Thank you, Maharaj. Another further question comes to my mind right now is, so he creates all these planets, different planets.
Yes, yes.
So are these planets also living entities?
That's a nice question. They're persons, but they're in a subtle feature, and then they become manifest. I'm not sure. There's presiding deities of each planet, but your question is not: is there a presiding deity? Is the planet a person?
I guess so.
That's your question.
Yeah, that is my question.
Like Mother Earth. So is Mother Earth? That's the planet. It's not the presiding deity of the Earth planet. It's the Earth planet. So by reasoning, each planet has a personality, but I don't know for sure. It would make sense, but I don't know for sure. Ragamika's waving her hand. And we have 2 minutes to the hour.
Initially, that nice analogy of Brahma is the engineer. What is the blueprint?
What is the what?
The blueprint was the universal form?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then, it doesn't seem like that's...
Well, where does the universal form come from? It's a manifestation of Vishnu. That's the blueprint. He gives him Vishnu gives Brahma everything. He creative potency, the intelligence, the ingredients, the blueprint.
The ingredients are the subtle seeds.
No, the ingredients are the elements. But before there's the gross elements, there's the subtle elements. And he gives him the gross elements. Take it away, Brahma. Build the universe. On your mark, get set, go. He's an engineer, chief engineer. And all the information is with him. It's better than Bill Gates. Okay. In the back, and then up front, and that's it, because the hands of the clock keep moving.
Just in point of the balance, it's stated that each planet has to have a soul, otherwise not by itself cannot really do anything. But when this Srila argumented and talked about the second concept, when the soul enters the planet, then it brings life to it. So, and he explains that without the soul, then matter is useless.
Okay.
So all the planets have
Personalities. You have the last shot at everything here this morning.
I'm just thinking, when we talked about the subtle body, Canto 4 chapter and 7 chapter gives details on
Four.
4 types of annihilation.
Canto 4, Chapter 4,
No, 12 canto,
12th Canto,
chapter 7
Chapter 7.
and 4 gives details about 4 types of annihilation.
Okay, good.
One is called Atmantik Pralaya. The Atmantik Pralaya is only when the soul dissolves the subtle body. Otherwise, the soul enters Mahavishnu's body into the subtle body.
With or without? When the soul enters Mahavishnu's body, it's with or without subtle body?
With the subtle body.
Okay, I thought
For
so.
the new creation, whenever.
Yeah.
But when soul's ultimate liberation or out of the material, when its subtle body is dissolved.
Okay.
Generally, that's the verse. Generally, Idina Manojata, as the fire digests everything, to the subtle body by the power of bhakti, digests everything.
Yeah, that's Kapila
Then
Dev.
devotees,
That's Kapila Dev.
yeah.
Okay.